Bob Burg is the co-author of the Go Giver and Go Giver series of books. He's also the author of one of my favorite people skills books of all time, titled Adversaries into Allies. Now today I'm proud to share that in addition to these wonderful books, Bob's also the contributing expert author of Chapter 2 in my new book titled The Ultimate Guide to Social Media for Business Owners, Professionals, and Entrepreneurs. You can pick up your copy on Amazon at socialmediabook.online. Now, for the next 15 minutes or so, I've asked Bob to dive a bit deeper into his chapter, which is titled The Go Giver Way to Enriching Your Practice via Social Media. I know you're going to enjoy this conversation and Bob's insights into influencing, marketing, and building your brand on social media. Enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to the Mitch Jackson Podcast. During each episode, award-winning trial lawyer Mitch Jackson shares 3 decades of battle-tested business, entrepreneur, and legal tips to help you build relationships, top-of-mind awareness, and safely do business on the digital platforms. Mitch also enjoys sharing conversations with amazing people from around the world who are disrupting industries and creating positive global change. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, enjoy today's podcast. And remember to always make each day your masterpiece.
Bob, in your chapter, you talk about the intuitive notion regarding how professionals incorrectly believe they need to use social media to succeed. For those podcast listeners who haven't read the book and specifically haven't read your chapter, which I loved, by the way, thank you very much. Can you share a bit more about what intuitive notion is?
Sure. And by the way, congratulations on this book. I mean, I am just absolutely loving going through it and reading these chapters from all these people. I'm honored to be a part of it, so thank you for having me in it. But you've just done a fantastic job of putting this together.
Bob, you and I both know it's about surrounding yourself with excellence, and I think I did that in this book.
Well, so it's interesting, Mitch, because there is an intuitive notion about what it would be to be successful with social media. And that is to think, well, I've got all this great information. I've got this fantastic value that I can provide others. So what I'll do is just talk about my business, talk about the great service that we offer, the services we offer, and the insights that we have, and just kind of broadcast that, and people will be interested. And, it's one of those things where, surprise, they're just really not. I mean, David Meerman Scott, probably one of the all-time greatest marketing minds ever. And he said, basically we're as consumers, we're annoyed with those who focus on their own interest. And he says nobody cares about your products and services except you. What people do care about are themselves and how you can solve their problems. And I think he said it in a nutshell right there. They don't care. I often, when I speak at sales conferences, I'll say, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. They're not going to buy from you because you need the money, and they're not even going to buy from you because you're a really nice person or because you know a lot. They're going to buy from you because they believe they'll be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And when a business owner, when a professional, whether a lawyer or an accountant or anyone from any business goes on there and just starts spewing, whether tweeting or posting or what have you, their knowledge and wisdom, people really don't care. And so I know it's counterintuitive, but the best thing you can do is sort of put your own needs aside for the moment and just think, how can I add value to others in a way that they would find to be of value?
Bob, I noticed that one of the primary topics or things that you focused on in your chapter was telling the reader or advising the reader, if you want to build influence on social media, place other people's interests first before your own. And you mentioned David Merriman Scott. For those listeners that haven't read the book, David was kind enough to write the foreword to my book. So we're both big fans of David, and I was just tickled pink when he said he would agree to write the foreword. Let's talk a little bit more about placing other people's interests first when it comes to building your brand and building influence on social media.
Sure. You know, Mitch, something I've said for years, and it's how I built my businesses, and it's probably the basic premise of everything I've written and talked about. And it's what I call the golden rule of business, of sales, of networking, but in a sense it's the golden rule of life, I guess, when it comes to relationships of any type. And that is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to, and you could say allow themselves to be influenced by those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way of eliciting those type of feelings toward you in others than by genuinely and authentically moving from what we call an I focus or me focus to an other focus, looking for ways to bring so much value to that other human being, making really your win all about their win. Now, I just want to qualify that, if I may, because when we say place other people's interests first, we don't mean in a doormatty type of way or a martyrish type of way, right? You know, or self-sacrificial type of way. No, absolutely not at all. It's just understanding that to the degree that you can place their interests ahead, that you can be thinking of them and how they're going to benefit, that's the degree that they're going to feel good about you, that they're going to want to connect with you, that they're going to be attracted to you, if you will, and want to get to know more about you.
One reason I included your chapter, and thank you, by the way, for writing the chapter, as chapter number 2 in the book, and for those listeners, it's titled The Go-Giver Way to Enriching Your Practice Via Social Media, is because this is the foundation. This shifting our focus approach is the foundation or the nucleus to success on social media and, frankly, a part of every other chapter in the book. And so many professionals and entrepreneurs and business owners, they get it once it's explained to them, but they don't get it right off the bat. It's just not a natural thing to do when it comes to marketing and branding. But once the light bulb goes on, it makes sense. And that's why, Bob, I wanted to start the book off with your chapter. Are you able to give us a couple of examples of different professionals and how they might use this shifting our focus approach in connecting and engaging and building their brands on social media?
Sure. Well, one thing you can do is proactively find people who, let's put it this way, let's say proactively, reactively. And here's what I mean by this. You're looking for people who you can add value to, who you can help, who have a specific challenge, let's say, that you are uniquely qualified to be able to answer. But, you know, it's not a matter of just looking through every profile, right? Let's say on Twitter, if we were going to just use that as one example, and look to see who has, it would obviously be too long. The cost, if you do a cost benefit analysis of that, cost not just being money, but time and lost opportunity, it wouldn't make sense. But what you can do is through placing keywords in a, on, let's say you use the app, either Hootsuite or TweetDeck, and you can actually place keywords in the search that if someone has a question or somebody posts something that mentions one of those words, you'll be notified. For example, let's say you're an attorney and you're an intellectual property rights attorney, right? And somebody posts on there, I can't believe this. I just saw my image and related blog post copied and used on one of my competitors' websites. What should I do? This could be a real mess. Okay, so you have, maybe the word image, because that's something that happens all the time. When you see that, it comes up, you look, you notice that. Now, this person's not someone you know. It's not someone who knows likes or trusts you right now, but there's certainly no reason you can't provide an answer to that. And just in a very a gentle and genuine way, you might say, you might tweet back, being an intellectual property rights attorney, I've seen this all too often. Fortunately, if you send a cease and desist letter to your competitor and a DMCA takedown demand to their website host, that will most likely do the trick. Now, that's value. That is just wonderful value. And what happens is this person that you haven't, and you didn't say, call me for an appointment, and no, you just gave advice. You just gave helpful, value-based advice. Now, here's the thing. This person's going to appreciate it, and the chances are they're going to get into dialogue with you, and it can go back and forth. But remember, there's a lot of people following them who are their associates or colleagues, and they're going to see how helpful you were in doing it. And you're going to obtain more connections on there that will be open to your wisdom. So, that's just one way of just, that's why I say proactively reactive, right? Because you're proactively doing the search words, looking, but when they come to you, that's when you're going to, and it's really not reactive, you're responding, because you're doing it with thought. But that's really something that just gets the dialogue, it gets the connection going.
It starts the conversation.
Yes.
And it starts that know, like, and trust relationship aspect of who you are and what you do. Bob, just diving a little bit deeper, and I want to wrap this up because I want to value and respect your time. Imagine if you're a professional. Let's use Bob's example as a lawyer, and you get asked the same 10 or 20 questions each month about the type of law that you practice. Create a blog post or a video, maybe even a podcast, answering each one of those questions during the next couple of months. Then, using Bob's technique, when you see that question on Twitter or any of the other social platforms, do what Bob just said, and maybe add, by the way, I answered this question in detail. Here's a link to a blog post or a short video. Now, what I like to tell people is, sorry about that, is, don't do a call to action. At the end of the blog post, call me if this has happened to you. Just add value. Just be that professional that's answering questions and trying to help society. And what will happen is using the approaches, the techniques, the go-giver, having that go-giver mentality that Bob shares in his chapter, that's where people will start to trust you as a professional, start to reach out to you with questions, and they'll refer their family and friends to you too. So, Bob, I just absolutely love your go-giver approach, not only to social media and business, but specifically and probably especially towards life. And ever since reading your first book, that's what connected me to you before we ever met. And now I'm just honored to call you a friend, and I'm also very appreciative of you taking the time to share your chapter in the book. So for that, Bob, thank you very much.
Well, likewise, Mitch, and I just love the work you're doing and how much value you bring to so many of us.
Bob Burg, the Go-Giver. Check the show notes, everyone, to connect with Bob. But for those people working out, running, riding their mountain bikes who don't have the show notes in front of them, Bob, what's the best way for them to reach out to get you on stage or to tap into your consulting services?
Best place would just be Burg, and that's BURG.com, and it's all there.
Burg.com. Bob Burg, thank you very much. My name's Mitch Jackson. On behalf of Bob and everyone here at the office, please make your day a masterpiece. Bye-bye, everybody.